Now, I don't know how many of you, there are 129 of you out there today, and I don't know how many of you suffer from diabetes, okay? I suspect a few, all right? So, a couple of things you need to know about diabetes. You have to understand the difference between type 1 and type 2. Type 1 diabetes is what you're born with, okay? Is what you're born with. So that's basically saying that you have a defective pancreas and you're not making insulin. So that's a disease, right? That's a birth defect. Right? You inherit somehow. Most people who have diabetes these days are not type 1, they're type 2. They're type 2. And pre-diabetes is as bad as diabetes, trust me. Now, most people understand the danger of having diabetes because essentially you have too much glucose in your bloodstreams, and the first thing that happens is that it blocks all the microvessels. So your eye has problem, your kidney has problem, and your heart has problem, and also it starts to go into your extremities like the fingers and the toes, and if you don't control it, then it can lead to some serious problem. But one thing that people don't talk enough about is how dementia, the relationship between dementia and diabetes. Dementia is now called type 3 diabetes. The fastest growing dementia is something called vascular dementia. That's when the glucose gets into the blood, and that's what my father has. So diabetes is very dangerous. So just because someone says that, oh, you're only pre-diabetes, oh, be careful. Now, the difference between type 1 and type 2, I don't know anything about type 1, Moorish. I'm sorry. I only know about type 2 because my father died from dementia. He's been a type 2 for a long time, and I've been a type 2 for a long time. Type 2 diabetes has nothing to do with the pancreas, has nothing to do with insulin. Well, it has a whole lot to do with insulin, but it's not because you don't have enough, it's because you have too much. It's a lifestyle disease. It's from eating too much, and one of the problems is people like me, we tend to eat a lot because we enjoy food so much, and when you have so much food and you just non-stop eating, even if you eat the best kind of food, I just enjoy it so much that your body keeps generating insulin, and eventually your body rejects insulin. Okay, it becomes insulin resistant. The problem with the Western medicine is that the doctors don't distinguish type 1 and type 2, and they would treat type 2 as if it's type 1. They treat diabetes, whether it's because you don't have enough insulin or not, they treat it the same way. So they give you medicine. So I've been taking metformin, which is not a bad medicine. A lot of people actually take it, even if they're not diabetic. They think that it has some health benefit. Metformin is not too bad because all it does is that it works on the cell level and allow your body to be more sensitive to insulin again. But metformin by itself is not enough. You have to change your lifestyle. You have to stop eating so much. And so fasting is important to cure diabetes. But if you don't change your lifestyle, because you said, I'm American, I have liberty, I can do whatever I want, I can live however I want, then metformin is not enough because the cause of the problem hasn't changed, right? So then it becomes getting worse and worse, and then the doctor will prescribe a second medicine called glyphosate. And what that does is that it starts to activate, energize your pancreas, giving you even more insulin when you already have too much. And pretty soon your pancreas give up, and now you're type 1 diabetes. And the doctor says, oh, time to take insulin. Right? And then it becomes dementia. So it's very important to take it seriously. You have to change your lifestyle. Fasting is important. So I have no dinner or I have very light dinner. Fasting. Keep yourself, there's something called 16-8. Eat only 8 hours, morning and lunch. Get it all done in 8 hours and rest. And rest for 16 hours. Let your body rest. You can drink water, you can drink soup, but just don't consume food. The second thing is that to understand that most of the carbohydrates that we consume these days are refined carbohydrates. They are sugar. They are worse than sugar. So stay away from white bread, stay away from pasta, stay away from white rice. Stay away from all that. Then you say, well, what if I take brown rice? Well, brown rice is still rice. Inside brown rice is the right rice. However, it gives you some fiber. Okay? So the way, the order in which you eat is very important. Eat vegetable first. Then eat protein and fat. Then if you want some bread, eat it last. Okay? Now, my experience, this might not be yours, is if I take a piece of bread, my blood glucose goes up. Now, I don't want to take off my shirt in front of everybody, but I wear a 24/7 glucose meter right here. Okay? Now, if you get your doctor to write you a prescription, it only costs you about a cup of a latte a day. And then what you do is you get to see your blood glucose on the real time. Then you get to see how your body reacts to different kind of food. I can have dessert, just not white bread. I can have cheesecake. There's not enough sugar in there to compare to a piece of white bread. There's enough fat in there that the fat is as if it's just laying, that it's insulate, so the body doesn't absorb the sugar fast when you have so much fat. All right? It's your health, man. It's your health, right? Don't listen. I mean, listen to the doctor, but don't listen to them. They're a salesman for the pharmaceutical industry. They're just going to give you more and more drugs. I mean, in some way, I'm being harsh to the Western medicine doctor. But imagine you're a farmer, and all of a sudden your plants are not as green as they should be. That's a symptom. And you go to someone, they give you some green dye to eliminate the symptom. And breathe out. Now relax. We're going to sit very brief, 3 minutes. But I'm hoping that in those 3 minutes, after it's a culmination of all the effort that we put in for the last hour and a half, clearing all the energy passage, generating enough circulation to your body, that I want you to feel the energy within you. I want you to feel it, okay? But with the understanding that it's really not energy within you, but how you're communicating with the universe. It's actually creating a magnetic resonance between you and the universe. And I want to see if you could feel the energy rising from your spine and coming down in the front. The yang energy going up and the yin energy coming down. And just feel it. Now, I guarantee you, if you feel the energy, it will change your life. It will absolutely change your life, because all of a sudden you feel that you are actually part of the universe, that you are the universe. And the survival of the universe depends on harmony. And now you're motivated to live in harmony, not only with yourself, but with your environment. All of a sudden there's a reason why you want to consume the right kind of food, because there are food that you can consume that are in harmony with the universe. Right? There's a difference between eating farm animals versus eating factory animals. The food that we consume today are all factory animals. They have nothing. They have never seen a farm in their whole life. Right? Someone mentioned about milk and cheese. If the milk and the cheese and the butter comes from an animal that has never seen a farm, how much harmony do you think you have by consuming them? How do I breathe without using my nose and my mouth? Sorry if I understand incorrectly. So, actually, we don't breathe with a nose. We don't even breathe with a lung. We breathe with the diaphragm. There's no muscle in the lung. The lung cannot work by itself. The only way that the lung would activate is if we use the diaphragm. The diaphragm is what separates the lung, the heart from the rest of the organ. Every day, the diaphragm moves in order to breathe. It's just that we don't even know it. We don't know how to maximize it, right? It's the difference between walking and being a Olympic athlete. The The Olympic athlete, if there's a sport called abdominal breathing in Olympics, they would know how to use the diaphragm. They will maximize the use of the diaphragm. So this is not about breathing with the nose, with the lung, or with the diaphragm. We only know how to breathe the diaphragm. It's about using it more efficiently. Now, the thing that I don't want you to do is I don't want you to suck in air with your nose. Okay? And I don't want you to breathe with your mouth open, because breathing with the mouth open dries your mouth. Okay? And there's all kinds of ill effect with that. So I want you to close your mouth. I want you to just breathe naturally. But I want you to pay attention to your breathing. Now, some people can feel the breath. So in my case, I actually feel the whiskers as I breathe in and as I breathe out. But I don't want you to do that. Because if I ask you to do that, then you're going to breathe very heavily. You're going to force yourself to breathe until you can feel it. That's not what I want you to do. I want you to start by just knowing, not feeling, just know that I'm breathing in. Know that I'm breathing out. And when I breathe in, I focus on the belly button as if I'm expanding my stomach. And when you expand your stomach, then you are bringing down the diaphragm, increasing your lung capacity. As soon as I know that I'm breathing out, I want you to move from the front to the back. As a result, the stomach will collapse, lifting up the diaphragm, right? So, okay? So I stay away from thinking that you breathe with your nose or your mouth or your lung. None of that happens. You always breathe with your diaphragm. It's about making more use of that, okay? So learn to open your stomach, give more room to your diaphragm. Learn to collapse your stomach by shifting the focus from the belly button to the back. Just lift up your diaphragm, okay? Just don't suck it with your nose, okay? Don't suck it with your nose. Open your stomach, close your mouth, collapse your stomach. That's all, okay? There's a question from Milan. How come they make beds flat if we shouldn't be laying down for long? I've been thinking about what I said. If I have misspoken, I apologize. I don't think I said that we shouldn't lay flat for a long time. I think it's important to sleep, and I talked about this last time, and I definitely talk about it in that video that I did for splint deficiency. You have to think of yourself as part of the universe. I said that many, many times. You have to think of yourself as the soil and the sun and the water and mineral and vegetation like that. So if you were a farmer, or if you have your vegetable garden, you know how important the soil is. And so what do you do with the soil? Well, you have to give it water. But you don't give it water in the middle of the day, do you? Right? You either do it early in the morning, or sometimes you do it late at night, or at least before the sun is totally completely dark, before the sky is completely dark, but after the sun is set. So this is like what we do with the body. It's like what I do in my body. I wind down around 9 o'clock. I wind down. I take my shower. I massage the bottom of my feet. I massage the top of my head. I meditate. This is about promoting the water element within me. And then by 10:30, I go to sleep. By 11 o'clock, I'm deep in sleep, because from 11 to 3, that's the earth element. That's what you want to do with the soil. This is when you want to rest. You don't want to touch the soil at that moment. You just want for it to absorb the water, the nutrient, the mineral, all that, and just let it decompose and let it. So that's when the liver and the splint was active. The liver and the splint energy, which is really not proper to name them after organ, because they were named after the elements. They were the earth elements. Let the earth does its magic to decompose, to equalize the temperature, to equalize the moisture, to incubate the mineral. That's why it's important to sleep. Sleep at night. Sleep 11 o'clock, before 11 o'clock. And then sleep until you wake up. And I try to wake up around 6 o'clock. Get ready. And that's what you do with this, with the garden, right? You want to start walking up, stand upright, and this is when the stomach splint energy line become active, and you want to be part of the universe. This is when the sun starts to come up. The yin energy is very strong, but not very harsh. So you want to be walking around, taking part of that. I take a nap after lunch, between 11 and 1 o'clock. That's when the heart energy line is active. That's when I wanted to meditate again and just rest. I do lying down meditation, whatever. And after I eat, okay, because that's when the sun is very harsh. You don't want to be out there working on the field anymore, right? Let it just rest, okay? So that's what I do, and then I try not to have dinner. If I have dinner, it's very light, and I try not to eat after 8 o'clock.